Listen, if you've been struggling with your entries, your exits, and just having a hard time actually entering your trades, I have the perfect tool for you. This is going to save you months of frustration and literally help you with that learning curve so that you can start taking profitable and high quality trading setups. This is going to be the only tool that you need. So this tool is called TrendFusion Algo, and stick around to the end of the video. I'm going to show you exactly how you can try this tool out. Now, in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why it works, how it works, and how you can use the same exact tools to find high quality trading setups. Most traders aren't failing prop firm evals because they're bad traders. They're failing because they don't understand market structure and how to identify when the trend has shifted. Once I turn the TrendFusion Algo on, I'm able to clearly see when it's time to enter a trade for a long and when it's time to enter a trade for a sell. Now, in conjunction with that, I use a supply and demand indicator that's made specifically for this algo. Now, the last tool that we're going to need is the TrendFusion Algo oscillator. Now that I have all three of my tools on, I can clearly see where the market is going. I can see here we made a lower low, we made a higher high here, and a higher high here. We also made a higher low here. So this is telling me exactly what the market is doing, what price action is doing. I can clearly see my supply and my demand zone. So these are areas that price respects. See, we hit this supply zone right here and completely sold off. Then we bounced off of this demand zone right here, and now we're pushing to the upside. Now here's how it works. I'm looking for three things before entering any trades. I need to make sure that my setup is correct. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is hover over my indicator, click on the settings tab. I need to make sure that I'm on signal mode. Now, the TrendFusion Algo has 4 different modes. Depending on how you trade, there's a setting for everybody. So my favorite is going to be the breakout and scalp mode, and that's mainly because I'm a scalp trader. Now that I confirmed that we're on scalp mode, I need to make sure that the length for this is correct. Now, the more you lower this number, the more sensitive that price is and the more signals you're going to get. The higher the number, the less signals that you're going to get. Now, I don't need to make any changes to the settings in the TrendFusion Algo supply and demand, nor the oscillator, just on the overlay signals. So it's pretty simple. I'm waiting for 3 things. I'm looking for confluence before entering the trade. For this particular trade right here, this occurred as soon as the market reopened after that hour of closure. Now, we got a buy signal right out the gate. Now, just because we get a buy signal does not mean that I'm going to take the trade. You can have a false signal. Whenever the markets are choppy or there's low volume, given that this is after hours for the NASDAQ and we're trading an index, this is low volume time. So this is when you can get some false signals. So you want to be very, very careful. Now, I am on the 1-minute chart and I'm looking to see, after we got a buy signal, have we already created a demand zone? Okay, check, we did. If we created this demand zone, are we over this demand zone or have we broke below this demand zone? In this case, we're over it, okay? Now I also want to look at who's in the lead. In this case, the bulls are in the lead. So all this tells me is that price action is bullish and there's more buying volume than there is selling volume. Now, one thing you may notice that right here, that everything is blank. And the reason why is because this data isn't going to populate until the market is open. So as soon as the market opens, it takes a few candles and then it'll populate right here. I want to say it probably takes about until the full hour candle populates, then the data is going to start pulling in from the exchange. But regardless, it will always show you who's exactly in the lead. So now that we know that the bulls are in the lead, we have a buy signal. We're above our demand zone here. And now when I look at my oscillator, I want to see if we're bullish or if we're bearish. We have a bullish signal here, and the trend for the bearish trend is starting to weaken. As the colors get darker here, that's letting you know that the trend is getting weaker. Same thing here. When the colors get darker, a darker green, that's letting you know that that overall trend is weakening. So with all those confluences, that gives me a high quality setup, and I can now take this trade and I want to take it to the next resistance area. Now, I like to use these swing highs. So this green bar, unlike these red bars, you'll see them. These areas, they act as support and resistance. So I like to look at the most recent swing low or swing high that's made, and that's going to be the area where I'm looking to exit the trade. Now, before I enter a trade, there is one more thing that you want to do. You can totally turn on the take profit and stop loss, and it's going to populate right here on the side. So for this particular trade, it's telling us that our entry is here Okay, you can see we hit our first take profit area and our stop loss is down here. So for this trade, this was our entry, and you can see we hit all three of our take profit areas and we never got stopped out. Now putting my take profit here, would have been the perfect exit for me. I would have hit both TPs. Now, even if I use the most recent swing low area as my take profit, I still would have been in a wonderful trade. This would have been a high quality trade. Now, entering my trade here and still targeting that most recent swing low, which is right here, I still would have had a wonderful trade. Using this exact stop loss, that would have gave me nearly a 3R trade. The same rules apply for a bearish trade. Now, just because I get a sell signal does not mean I'm going to enter the trade. You see here, after we made this higher high, we created a supply zone. We're also below resistance areas here, and then the most recent supply zone, which is this big supply zone right here. Now, before entering the trade, I need to make sure I have a minimum of 3 confirmations. So the first one, we got a sell signal. Now, this line right here, this is called a linear regression line. If price is over it, we're bullish, and price is below it, we're bearish. Now, we broke below that line here, so that is 2 confirmations. Another confirmation is that we made a recent swing high here, so that's letting me know that that trend is over. Okay, when we made that higher high and then we broke below that higher high, that's already telling me price might pull back here. Then when I look at my oscillator again, remember when the trend starts to weaken, the colors start to darken. Okay, then we got bearish momentum right here, which is telling us that price will likely come down. So once we get our entry, we can enter our trade, put our stop loss exactly where it tells us to, and then we can ride it all the way down. Now, entering my trade where it tells me to, setting my stop loss there as well, and I can use these take profit areas, or I can use the most recent swing low. So here, or I can use the most recent swing highs. So here I can see this is an area where price consolidated, so this is likely going to be a big support area. So if I aim for this area here, you can see we got a lot of bounce and consolidation right here. So this would have been a clean area for me to exit that trade. Now, if you actually want to learn how to trade and use this tool, I left the link down below. You can sign up, get access to the algo, and live trade with me and actually watch me execute these trades, hear my thought process, and ask questions along the way so that you're actually understanding what you're seeing on the screen.